The bottom line was that at the end of Hank's testimony and before Bang TV came in, Hank spoke of his desire to reach a settlement. And he said at first that he wanted money. Hank, as the victim of the deepfakes, supposedly, and as the maybe co-victim of assault and stalking, which he claims, as if Youngman cared about him, he said he wanted like a monetary compensation. For example, who brought the baton? Who brought the baton to the fight? You know.
Okay.
Everybody knows that Hank brought the baton. It's obvious. He talks about the baton. He shows the baton on stream. The baton is in his apartment.
Guys, we've got some explosive breaking news coming straight out of South Korea's streaming world. Johnny Somali has just made a huge move by pressing charges through a counter lawsuit against one of the victims involved in his ongoing case, a Korean streamer who goes by the name Youngman. And guess what? Johnny Somali actually came out on top and won the case. But here's the twist. This isn't just a simple legal victory. On one hand, it's a massive win for Johnny Somali, cementing his position and giving him some serious leverage. On the other hand, sources and insiders are saying this was all part of a much bigger scheme orchestrated by Hank Yu, his business partner and legal strategist. Apparently, money problems were piling up, and the trio, Johnny Somali, Hank Yu, and their lawyer, were reportedly running out of options to survive financially.
Then it was also for assault with a baton. So that was for that. And then obviously the last charge then was for stalking. So he has a deepfake charge, an assault with a baton.
This counter lawsuit wasn't just a legal strategy. It was a calculated move to squeeze cash from a vulnerable target. Here's where it gets even more intense. Youngman, the streamer who became the target of this counterattack, was already in a tough spot. He had been caught violating South Korean law during a martial law situation, and things escalated when he threw stones in court. Yes, actual stones. This shocking behavior only made his legal situation worse, putting him at serious risk of prison time. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu reportedly saw this as the perfect opportunity.
무기 들었어, 개새끼야. 야, 내려놔. 경찰 불러. 야.
Knowing Youngman had virtually no chance to defend himself effectively, they strategically used this chaos to their advantage, which makes the case look far from clean and raises some serious ethical questions about their tactics. Now, let's break down the charges. Johnny Somali didn't hold back. He filed 3 serious charges against Youngman. The first one was for distributing deep fakes, a controversial and highly damaging offense in today's digital world. The second charge was assault, and the third was stalking. Each of these carries serious legal consequences, and together they paint a picture of a well-planned legal strike aimed at taking control of the situation entirely. But here's where things start to get really messy in court. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu gave a statement that immediately raised eyebrows. Johnny told the court that Youngman hit him with a baton. Sounds straightforward, right? Well, the real story behind the scenes is far more complicated.
The baton. Who brought the baton to the fight? You know.
Okay.
Everybody knows that Hank brought the baton. It's obvious. He talks about the baton. He shows the baton on stream. The baton is in his apartment. Johnny knows that baton very well. And they asked him, who brought the baton? And he said, I don't know.
And shady. It turns out that Hank Yu was actually the one who brought the baton to the scene, and Johnny Somali knew full well about it. But when they were under oath, Johnny claimed, I don't know who brought it, completely shifting the blame and creating a confusing narrative. It gets even wilder. According to Johnny's version of events, Youngman allegedly grabbed that very same baton and attacked him, which then became the official basis for the assault charge. This raises serious questions because it paints a picture that's very different from what actually happened behind the scenes. Basically, the court was given a story that conveniently absolved Johnny and Hank of any prior responsibility while making Youngman look like the sole aggressor. So here's where the plot thickens even more. On one side, it's obvious that Johnny Somali was deeply involved in the conspiracy, covering up Hank Yu's shady actions while both of them strategically pressed charges against Youngman. But the real game plan wasn't obvious at first. The tactics they used were downright calculated. Later, it came to light that Hank Yu had his eyes on money from the very beginning. The moment he realized the court was open to a settlement with Youngman, Hank saw a golden opportunity. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu immediately recognized how they could exploit the situation for their own gain. This is how they cleverly maneuvered to get one of Johnny Somali's charges removed from the list, turning what looked like a standard legal case into a tactical power play. By the time Hank gave his testimony, and just before Bank TV stepped in, he openly talked about wanting a settlement.
Hank spoke of his desire to reach a settlement, and he said at first that he wanted money. Hank, as the victim of the deepfakes, supposedly, and as the maybe co-victim of assault and stalking, which he claims, as if Youngman cared about him, he said he wanted like a monetary compensation. Johnny, in his situation, all he wants is the deepfake charge from Youngman to be dropped. And they said they'll do anything. I'm willing to put this behind us if both sides will drop the charges.
Shockingly, he framed himself as the victim of the deep fakes and claimed to be involved in the assault and stalking drama, as if Youngman actually targeted him personally. According to Hank, his main goal was monetary compensation, pure cash in exchange for settling the case. So guys, here's the latest update on this crazy legal drama. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu initially tried to strike a money deal, but in the end, they reached a settlement where both sides agreed to drop their charges. On the surface, this looks like a major win for Johnny Somali and Hank Yu, because even without cash in hand, they still managed to reduce Johnny's total number of charges and significantly lower his potential prison time. From a strategic standpoint, it's a clear victory, showing how carefully they've been playing the game. But hold on, the story doesn't end here. A new question is buzzing around the community. What will Johnny Somali and Hank Yu do next? Rumors are swirling that their next target might be Bong Bong. If they decide to file a counter lawsuit against him, it could be another calculated move to get yet another one of Johnny's charges dropped. Today's victory was huge for Johnny because one of the deepfake charges has officially been wiped off the record. Oh my God, guys, this just keeps getting crazier by the minute.
It was actually a big victory for Johnny because one of the deepfake charges have been dropped. Now, the next thing is, will the other deepfake charge get dropped? That's currently with Bong Bong. But Bong Bong has not been formally charged with anything as of now, at least.
As far as we know.
So Johnny doesn't actually have that leverage with her.
I think he said something very interesting. They asked him if he sued anybody else, or not, I shouldn't say sued, filed charges against anybody else, criminal charges against anybody else besides Youngman. And he said one or two. I think the wording was very interesting. He said one or two. And then he mentioned the Yu Dalgun, the assault case. He mentioned that one, but what did he not mention?
The tactics Johnny Somali and Hank Yu are pulling right now are honestly wild. It's now being predicted that Johnny Somali is gearing up to file even more counter lawsuits against the very victims involved in his past scandals. And here's the shocking part. It doesn't even matter if they make a single dime from it. What really matters to them is how each counter lawsuit gives them a golden opportunity to get more of Johnny's charges dropped one by one. This sneaky legal maneuvering could make things way easier for both Johnny and Hank Yu in their upcoming court trial, almost like they're cleaning their slate step by step. At this point, it's looking like a dark but calculated comeback for the duo, a kind of twisted victory that feels almost demonic in nature. And once again, all eyes are on Hank Yu, who's clearly playing the mastermind role behind every move. People haven't forgotten that Hank Yu once openly said he'd do anything, even manipulate legal loopholes, just to secure the bag. Yeah, and if you remember from the very start, Johnny Somali himself said he'd survive all this and head back to America soon. Now, Hank Yu seems to be thinking that if Johnny really gets deported, he might actually recover all his money once he's out of South Korea. But the big question remains, will Johnny Somali really get deported anytime soon? From the way things are unfolding, it honestly looks like they're pushing in that exact direction.
Bong Bong.
And why did he say, I'm reading between the lines here.
Of like one or two, so he's trying to press charges against Bong Bong, most likely.
If it was going ahead against Bong Bong, I think the wording would have been two, Yu Dalgun and Bong Bong.
With Johnny's next trial just around the corner, the behavior we're seeing from both him and Hank Yu is raising serious concerns. It's like they're plotting every step behind the scenes. What's becoming clearer by the day is that Johnny Somali and Hank Yu are relying on shady, underhanded tactics to slip away from punishment at any cost. They're twisting every rule, manipulating every loophole, and doing whatever it takes to dodge real accountability. And here's where it gets even more intense. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu aren't just playing defense anymore. They're going on the offensive in ways that are raising eyebrows across the community. Every move they make seems calculated to manipulate the legal system, pressure the victims, and protect themselves at all costs. From counter lawsuits to settlement deals, it's clear they're thinking several steps ahead, turning courtroom chaos into a strategic advantage. What's really shocking is how smoothly Hank Yu orchestrates everything, almost like he's running a full-scale operation behind the scenes, while Johnny Somali follows along, benefiting from the schemes. People are starting to wonder, how far are they willing to go? And who will be their next target in this high-stakes game of legal chess? The tension is building, and one thing is certain, this saga is far from over, and the stakes just keep rising. Observers are now pointing out that Johnny Somali and Hank Yu's tactics could set a dangerous precedent for how legal battles are fought in the streaming world.
Sue Legal Mindset? Somebody told me you were trying to sue him?
For defamation, yeah. Money!
Wait, so you're free speech?
But if I can extract money out of them, yeah, hell yeah, nigga. But.
So you admit that Legal Mindset, that guy has the right to say everything he says, but you see an opportunity to try and get some money, so you're like, fuck it, I need money or whatever.
Yeah.
It's no longer just about one case. It's about sending a message that they can bend the rules and come out on top. Each lawsuit, each settlement, and each drop charge adds another layer to their strategy, making it harder for anyone to challenge them. Hank Yu's influence is undeniable here. He's clearly the strategist, turning chaos into opportunity, while Johnny Somali benefits from every calculated move. Fans and critics alike are watching closely, wondering how the next chapters will unfold and whether anyone can actually stand up to this relentless duo. But here's the kicker. This isn't just legal maneuvering. It's a full-on psychological game. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu are not only focused on the courtroom, they're shaping public perception, controlling the narrative, and keeping everyone guessing about their next move. Every statement, every tweet, every subtle leak seems designed to confuse opponents and keep the pressure on Youngman and anyone else involved. It's becoming obvious that they're playing for long-term advantage, not just winning one trial. And with Hank Yu pulling the strings, it's hard to tell where the strategy ends and pure manipulation begins. People are starting to realize that this isn't just a case. It's a carefully orchestrated campaign, and Johnny Somali is riding every wave Hank Yu creates to secure his victory. What's even more shocking is how calculated their timing has been. Johnny Somali and Hank Yu are striking at moments when their opponents are most vulnerable, using legal loopholes and technicalities to their advantage. Every move seems choreographed to maximize impact, whether it's filing a new counter lawsuit, pushing for settlements, or dropping charges strategically. It's like watching a masterclass in courtroom manipulation. And Hank Yu is clearly the mastermind behind it all, pulling every string while Johnny Somali reaps the benefits. The way they've turned setbacks into opportunities shows just how ruthless and clever they really are, leaving everyone else scrambling just to keep up with their next move. By looking at everything closely, it's becoming crystal clear that Hank Yu and Johnny Somali were committing a bunch of crimes together behind the scenes. But here's the crazy part. Is Hank Yu facing any real consequences? Not at all. Every charge and every spotlight seems to fall squarely on Johnny Somali. As you've already seen, this was clearly one of Hank Yu's calculated tactics. Remember the baton? It was actually in Hank Yu's hand, proving without a doubt that he was the main culprit. It's a bold, ruthless strategy that's paying off big time. So now the big question, are Johnny Somali and Hank Yu heading toward their biggest win yet in the upcoming trial? What do you guys think about this whole shocking situation? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this intense saga.